Hello class. Today I'm going to show you how we're going to access Clever to find apps that we're going to be using very often in our class. So as you have your laptop open right now, your screen should show the Panama Buena Vista Union website. So what I'd like for you to do is take your mouse and scroll up to the top to the bar up here. And we're going to click one time, or click until you see the whole line turn blue. Then hit the delete or backspace. I'll give some of you a second to do that. Okay, then I'm going to type in Clever, C-L-E-V-E-R. When you type in that word, Clever, C-L-E-V-E-R, you should see .com pop up as well in blue, just like you see on my screen. Now I'm just going to hit return. So this is so I'm now at clever.com, and Clever is going to be our one-stop shop for a lot of the applications that we use. Instead of having to go through the Panama Buena Vista Union website, now we're going to just go to Clever, and we'll log into Clever, and we'll be able to access all those key tools that we'll be using every day. So now that you're in Clever, you know that you're in Clever when it says Clever over here on the left. Then on the right, it says log in as student. So I want you to click right here on the right hand side which says log in as student. Now for me, I'm going to be logging in as a teacher. So, but our screens will look very, very similar. So you're going to click log in as student, and I'm going to click log in as teacher. Now that you've done that, this is what you should see. You should have this box that says Panama Buena Vista Union School District with Google in the bottom left, and then this Clever badge. I'd like for you to click where it says log in with Google. So click right there. Now it's logging you in, and you still see the Clever in the top left, but now you see the Panama Buena Vista Union logo or emblem along with our school. In the right hand side you should see your name. Now I have some things that you won't have, like students, so your screen will look somewhat different than mine, but you should see these things: Clever, our school name, your name in the top right, and then we have these applications that we're going to be accessing, so that you can access, such as Benchmark, which is our language arts, Khan Academy, some coding apps that you can use. Then we have Google Drive, Google Classroom, Google Mail, Lexia Core 5, Renaissance Place, Edmodo, Front Row, Go Math, which is our everyday math, Zern, and That Quiz, which we use for our math facts. So this is going to be very helpful to us because we can log into Clever, and then from there we can go to Renaissance Place to take accelerated reader tests. We can go to That Quiz to take math facts tests. We can go to Zern to work on a math lesson. So this is going to be very helpful to us. So what I'd like for you to do now is to click on Benchmark, and it'll take it a minute just to load. Now that we're at Benchmark, you should see your name in the top left, and there are a lot of different little buttons over here: My Messages, Assignments, Managed. My screen probably looks different than yours does, but you should see maybe a few buttons on the left, and then on the right hand side, these are all the different tools that you have access to. So we have Benchmark Advanced, which is our everyday reading curriculum, English language development, and then Writer's Universe, and then some other things, e-planners. I'm sure I have some things that you don't have access to. So what I'd like for you to do is click on Benchmark Advanced. Now we need to select our grade. So we're going to go to 4th grade, Unit 1, and then Week 1. And then this page should look really familiar to you because you already have a copy of our Unit 1 book book or paperback book that we've been working out of. So now we see it available online. So now if you scroll down to the ebook, Government in Action ebook, I want you to click there. It might take a second to load. All right. So now you have your book. There's this bar that this menu that pops open. Create a customization. So just click no. And then now this is a cover of our book. So I want us to just look at some different tools that we have access to. The first one is that now you have the ability to listen to stories now on your own if you've logged into Clever and gone to Benchmark.
Benchmark Education Company proudly presents Texts for Close Reading.
All right. So if you scroll down to the bottom right-hand side, you can actually start and just click and drag, or just click, and it'll open the page, and it'll just keep going through the book. And then if we go back, we just move over to the bottom left-hand side, and that'll take us back to the cover. Okay, so there's some tools here that we'll be using, along with being able to listen to the videos. This is how you adjust the audio speed. So if it plays it too fast for you, you can slow the speed down. Of course, the annotation should always be on because we want to be able to annotate as we're reading. I really don't think there's any other tools we're going to be accessing. There's a toolbar over here that allows you to draw or to highlight. Those we will be using some. Of course, we have already accessed Page Marker, which we have up here. We'll be using that because with Page Marker we can highlight or underline any text that we have or that we're looking at online. So, but if you want to use these tools as we're looking at using Benchmark, that's fine. So let's close that. Okay, then we have this next tab, which I'm not really quite familiar with. Then we have the bookmarks tab, which we may use some, but we'll talk more about how we're going to be using that a little later. So now that we have our book open, if we look over on each side of the page, right in the middle, on the far left and the far right, we have what looks like a notebook page. If we click there, this close reading notes page opens, and as we're reading, if there's a question that we have or a key detail that we have, we can actually type this in as we're reading. And so any notes that we want to make, we can type that over here, and then of course we can close it. We open it back up. It saves it there for us. Then we can do the same thing on the right-hand side. So that'll be a really helpful tool for us. All right. So what I'd like to do is we're going to scroll over to. Let me see. So this is our central question we've been focusing on. How can government influence the way we live? And this story, solving problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to this story. And then as we're listening to this story, we want to identify how does government work together to solve problems. That is the key focus of this story. And then when we come across a key detail, we want to be able to annotate. And if you're not sure of the annotation tools, remember you can scroll back in your book, and we want to be able to do these things. Underline a key detail, put a star next to an important idea, 1, 2, 3 by a sequence of events. So make sure, if you have a question, you'll put a question mark, circle a keyword or phrase, and if you have an idea or something that you find very interesting, just put an exclamation mark. All right, so let's go back to our book. Okay, so remember, we're focusing on solving problems. And if you look in the pictures, we definitely see a problem in the bottom left, don't we? In the top right, we don't really see a problem, but we know this picture, Washington's shellfish industry, there's something going on there, something maybe affecting the shellfish industry that we're going to be reading about. And we see a graphic here showing the Pacific Coast shellfish production. And so we're going to be looking at all these different graphics along with the title and the story to try to understand, how does government solve problems?
Short Read 1. Remember to annotate as you read.
Solving Problems by Lisa Benjamin. In the United States, citizens elect their government representatives. That means the people who live and work in a town, city, or state vote for most leading members of their government. These members represent the people at the different levels of government. Local governments make choices about how to run towns and cities. State governments make and enforce laws for states. Federal governments make and enforce laws for the nation or country. Federal, state, and local governments often work as a team to solve problems. For example, after an earthquake or floods from a superstorm, people might need food or shelter. They might also need help rebuilding homes. Roads and bridges may need fixing. All levels of government work together when a natural disaster strikes.
On October 29, 2012, Superstorm Sandy battered New York and New Jersey coasts. Winds neared 80 miles per hour. More than 23,000 people lost their homes. More than 8.5 million people lost power. To help people through this crisis, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, provided billions of dollars in relief funds. Today, state and local governments are still using this money to rebuild the areas hit hardest by the storm.
Okay, so we see this beginning in at the end of paragraph 1, we see that state governments make and enforce laws for states, federal governments make and enforce laws for the nation or a country. And then beginning in paragraph 2, federal, state, and local governments often work as a team to solve problems. And we see the example there of how state and local governments work together to help people recover from the superstorm. Now, what I'd like for you to do is, so this gave us one example of how governments work together. They help provided help to people who needed their homes rebuilt. People needed food or water to drink. Okay, so federal, state, and local governments work together as a team to solve problems. And we see this example was, focusing on an earthquake or a flood. Now, as you read on in this story, you're going to see another example of how state, local, and federal governments work together. And so I'd like for you to read paragraphs 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then after you're done, you're going to go to Google Classroom. And in Google Classroom, I've created this question for you. How does government work together? Now, you could be thinking about, this story, the two examples in the story of how government works together. You could maybe be thinking of an example that you know of. Maybe you have been through an experience where you can remember that state and local government came together to help you or your family or someone that you know. So when you have your response ready, you could write down your answer just so you know what you want to say. And then you're going to go to Google Classroom, and I have this question posted for you. How does government work together? Be prepared to answer this question, thinking about governments working together in the story, solving problems. And then you're going to click on this link, this Flipgrid link that I have on our assignment. And here is where you're going to be adding your own video answering that question. So you're going to click on this green plus button, and then you'll see, here's a picture of myself. You'll see your webcam will come open, And when you are ready, you're going to click on this red button that's going to record your video. You're going to record your response. And I have the question for you here. How does government work together? And then record your response in 1 minute and 30 seconds or less. Then when you're done, recording your video, I will show you how you're going to upload that video into another place for me. So anyway, so read, as I said, read the rest of our story, solving problems, and then write down your answer. How do you think government solves problems? And then go to our Google Classroom into Flipgrid, and then be prepared to record your video. And I hope you have fun doing that.